Good evening. This is QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Kairaba Avenue, and I am Asma Uba. Thanks for joining us here at the main news headlines. The president of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Idrissa Mas Jobe, has been updating the public on business environment reforms and private sector development discussed at the 8th National Business Council chaired by President Adama Barrow earlier this month. General Yakubu Gowon, the former Nigeria president and one of the surviving founding fathers of ECOWAS, urged the ECOWAS member states, including Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, who have threatened to quit, to put aside their differences for a united and prosperous ECOWAS bloc. And Child Phone, the Gambia presented medical items worth $27,000 to the Ministry of Health at the Central Medical Store in Kotu. And the Aswani family and proprietors of Alvihaj supermarkets on Wednesday pledged to donate $50,000 worth of food items to the Kanifing General Hospital every month for 1 year as charity for their late and only son who died in the Gambia last year. And in international news, a 13-year-old South African student who allegedly shot his school head teacher has been charged with attempted murder. Those and other stories coming up. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. The 8th National Business Council, chaired by President Adama Barrow earlier this month, featured discussions on the factors affecting the private sector and government's commitment towards improving the state of doing business in the Gambia. As QTV's Mahmoud Amin Choi reports, the president of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Idrissa Mas Jobe, has been updating the public.
The private sector employs at least 90% of the Gambia's working population and contributes 41% of government's total revenue. Often regarded as the engine of economic growth, the private sector and its enlargement has been a key priority of governments, especially in developing countries. The National Business Council, chaired by President Adama Barrow, has become a major platform for dialogue between government and private sector businesses. Idrissa Mas Jobe is the president of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
We also depend a lot on the government. The development of the private sector is dependent on the policies and action of the government. And we went to the NBC to explain to the government some of the areas, the priority areas where we need either more help, more collaboration, or more innovation.
The state of doing business in the Gambia dominated discussions in the 8th National Business Council NBC meeting at the State House. Some of the main talking points were on regulation, trade facilitation, tourism, government and state land management, agriculture, export, and local content. Economic growth is driven by consumer spending and business investment. However, the Gambia's business community has reported high cost of cargo imports into the Gambia, which could deepen the high cost of living for consumers.
Especially importation, the cost of importing a container, without talking about the tax or taxes, are very, very high. And they are costs that are imposed by the shipping lines. And the Ministry of Works have promised us that we'll have a meeting to see how we can review this, because we don't want the Gambia to be very expensive when it comes to this. People are now taking their containers via Senegal, which is not good for our economy, because any container that passes through Senegal, the Gambian economy has to pay almost 2 million CFA to be able to clear the container, and that is money that the country cannot afford. Next, we have looked broadly at the cost of a landed container in the Gambia.
The Gambia imports the majority of goods from the international market, where financial transactions are conducted in hard currencies like the US dollar. The depreciation of the Gambia dollars has become a bottleneck for businesses which buy foreign currency to pay for their goods.
Now $1 is almost $70. There you have the cost of goods increasing. So the biggest factor driving prices in the country is the depreciation of the dollar. And the depreciation of the dollar is not controlled by the business community. So we all agree that we have to find mechanisms either to export more so that we can have more dollars and contain the depreciation of the dollars. But it is very, very important that the dollars depreciation is controlled.
The President and the CEO of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry share belief on the vitality of government's collaboration with the private sector to improve the climate of doing business in the Gambia. Mohamed Lamin Chai, QTV News.
In an appeal for a continuous united ECOWAS sub-region, General Yakubu Gowon, the former Nigeria president and one of the surviving founding fathers of ECOWAS, urged the ECOWAS member states, including Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, who have threatened to quit, to put aside their differences for a united and prosperous ECOWAS bloc. Aliou Cissé reports.
Former Nigeria President General Yakubu Gowon made this appeal in an open letter to all ECOWAS leaders through a media briefing at the ECOWAS Commission headquarters in Abuja on Wednesday afternoon. Gowon expressed concern and sadness with the past and recent developments unfolding in the sub-region, particularly the pronouncement by Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger of their intention to exit from the ECOWAS bloc. As the only surviving founding father of the regional economic community, the former Nigerian leader said it is incumbent upon him to speak on behalf of the 15 heads of states and government who joined him in Lagos on 27th of May in 1975 to establish ECOWAS.
It saddens me to learn that ECOWAS is threatened with disunity following the announcement by Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, three important member states, of their intention to leave the community. The impact of such a decision will have far-reaching implications for the ordinary citizens who have been the major beneficiaries of regional integration.
Therefore, he urges ECOWAS authority of heads of states and governments, including the leaders of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, to put aside their differences and reunite for the peace, stability and prosperity of the region.
I call on all West African leaders to immediately consider the implementation of the following: lifting of all sanctions that have been imposed on Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, and Niger. 3, participation of all 15 ECOWAS heads of state in a summit to discuss the future of the community, regional security and stability, as well as the role of the international community given the current geopolitical context.
Dr. Omar Aliou Touré, President of the ECOWAS Commission, promised to transmit former President Gowon's signed letter to all ECOWAS country leaders. He welcomed the statement as timely and promised to take note of the recommendations.
An extraordinary summit has been scheduled to take place here in Abuja on Saturday the 24th. And without prejudice to the discretion of the leaders, I am confident that they will bear in mind your message.
There is a fear that ECOWAS is on the brink of collapse following the joint announcement of the intention to withdraw by Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger. It is unclear whether the next extraordinary summit will consider and adopt Gowon's appeal to lift the sanctions on these three countries and reunite member states. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cissé.
Child Phone The Gambia presented medical items worth $27,000 to the Ministry of Health at the Central Medical Store in Kotu. Lolem Kamara attended and she filed in this report.
The 20 pallets of medical supplies and pharmaceuticals from MAP International will be distributed across the country. The initiative is part of Child Fund The Gambia Gifts in Kind program. According to Musukuta Koma, Child Fund The Gambia Country Director, The items are to complement government's efforts in improving healthcare delivery.
We adhere to this advice and guidance, and Child Fund, with its international partners, mobilized these items and shipped them to the country. These items are worth of over $27,000 and we are happy that when they were received, we got quick feedback that they were timely and needed in the country. It's my pleasure to represent Child Fund International The Gambia and all those who worked very hard to ensure that this consignment arrives in the country in a timely manner to hand over these items. As usual, I'll advise the ministry to ensure that the items are all distributed to the health facilities for use by the people. This is part of our gift in kind program, and we said no to any sale of the items. Even 1 unit of this item should not be for sale. It is all donated, and those who need them need to accept them for free of charge. We'll work with the Ministry of Health through the National Pharmaceutical Services to support your logistics and ensure that the distribution is done on a timely manner.
Emily Jang, the principal pharmacist at the National Pharmaceutical Services of the Ministry of Health, thanked Child Fund and MAP International for the invaluable support. She assured the donors that the items will be used accordingly.
The medicines provided will greatly benefit our healthcare system and improve the well-being of our communities. We appreciate your consultation when selecting these items because it captures what we need as a country. I would also like to tell you that the distribution of these items will be done as soon as possible. We've already decided on the distribution plan. I would also like to thank Child Fund for their continuous support and partnership. Your contribution is invaluable, and we look forward to further collaboration.
Since its inception in the Gambia in 1985, Child Fund has implemented programs on child protection, household economic, health and nutrition, access to education, strengthening early childhood development, education, emergency response, amongst other interventions. Child Fund The Gambia is working towards a world where every child is free to live at their fullest potential, no matter where they are from or what challenges they face. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
From that story by Lolly M. Kamara, we'll now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more local and international news stories for you. Don't go away.
Join us on July 25th to the 26th, 2024 for the Canada Africa Youth Education Forum, which will be held at the Delta Hotels by Marriott in Toronto, ON, Canada. This unique event is an opportunity for education stakeholders, policymakers, the African diaspora, and international students to engage in discussions regarding the current state of education and student mobility. The conference will feature inspiring keynotes and speakers, informative panel discussion, networking sessions, a gala dinner, and award ceremony to highlight leaders who paved the way and fostered changes in the education ecosystem in both regions. Don't miss out on this exceptional event and register now at CanadaAfricaForum.com. Limited tickets available.
The Gambia Revenue Authority GRA will hold the 6th edition of the Taxpayers Appreciation and Award Ceremony on Saturday, March 2nd, 2024. Oh yes, the awards is dedicated to our esteemed and valued taxpayers who consistently pay their taxes and duties on time, file their tax returns on time, present authentic and original customs documents, and comply with relevant provisions of the revenue laws. The ceremony will be graced by His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Mr. Adama Barrow, cabinet ministers, senior government officials, members of the business community, and development partners. A memorable night is assured in this year's award ceremony, which will take place on Saturday, March 2nd at the Kairaba Beach Hotel, commencing at 7:30 p.m. GRA is your GRA. GRA is our GRA, collecting revenue for national development.
Tobacco Control Act 2016 mu luwaleti yemen tamando dati December karo kono 2018 sango kono. Section 9 mu bundaleti membe sartol kono kasilo di molu bela pour que la nyantolu soto kasabati dinkirato me yalon ko cigarette sisiyo waran sisa sisiyo te batandi lajje. Ite men ka saba fengo ma wajibole muiti ikan kaje ko ikana molu mantora ani wo saba fengo la sisiyo la fo sisa lembang cigaretto waran fengo fe yalon ko aka sabale ndaka sisiyo bonde. Tobacco Control Act 2016 ye molu balile ka cigaretto waran sisa saba jama kono doku dinkiral to lembang public transport wala motolu kono ani molla taradula dawada na tere ko kamaje ni ite sabaro tuno la je fereng wote ite bakela wato wate akate ye jam fa molla membita fo meter kemenyon fo hotelo to lembang restaurant luto doku dinkiral to karamungo luto lembang garaso luto prison memu kasote police la selor kono video club to ani jama be dawada iketa momoti ndung ale ye marandi nyundula la nga menu foteng akate yaje ko sabar fengo kakar mamolu kono muk wato bela fo siza lembang a cigarette lembang fengo fe yalon ko saba fengo len kakari song ay saba molu kono mense molu tora kata be molla jata kende yale nasindila wotebe sabaro kala wato wate jamfa mol na ministry bunda men marta jati kende yala MOH ani management sciences for health MSH wolle nyinki baro natalie.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I'm Asma Uba. Now, the Aswani family and proprietors of Alvihaj supermarkets on Wednesday presented food items to the Kanifing General Hospital in memory of their son, who died in the Gambia last year. The items are for patients admitted at the hospital. Babu Kasise tells us more.
This $50,000 worth of food items marks the beginning of a partnership between the Aswani family, owners of Alvihag Supermarket, and Kanifing General Hospital. The proprietors of Alvihag Supermarkets have pledged to donate $50,000 worth of food items to the hospital every month for a year as charity for their late and only son, Vicky Kodwani Alvihag, who, according to his parents, was a young, hard-working and polite man who loved helping others. Vicky's father, Vijay Aswani, further explains.
This gesture is in our honor of my late son, Vicky Kodwani Alvihag, who sadly passed away last year, 19th February 23. As health care in any given situation is considered expensive, I deem it necessary to complement government effort and support of monthly basis $50,000 per month worth of food stuff to the hospital for feeding the patient admitted for the period of 1 year, honor of my late son, Vicky Kodwani Alvihag.
His untimely death has left a huge vacuum in the lives of his friends, family, and loved ones. This presentation coincides with the 1-year anniversary of his passing. Babukar Sen is the administrator of Kanifing General Hospital.
We have about 120 patients that are admitted here. The food is free, the breakfast is free, the lunch is free. Almost everything is free, but all that they pay is just $100. But a donation like what Mr. Vijay have just done will try to help us save some cost. We all pray that your son's soul will rest in perfect peace.
Basiru Drame, CEO of Kanifing General Hospital, says the monthly donation of food items will help the hospital save money.
Sometimes when we buy the food, we also try to forgo some of the medications because we cannot actually provide all. Instead of now spending that $50,000 on food items, we're actually going to diverse the fund to something else very important for the patient. So that means that what we are doing here, you are actually saving a lot of lives. And that we will continue to pray that Allah continue to bless his soul.
Aissatou Samba is the Senior Infection Prevention Control Officer at Kanifing General Hospital.
You've taken a noble cause to celebrate the death of your son. You could have done it in another way, but you chose to bring charity to this hospital, and we really appreciate it. We're going to assure you of our dedicated prayers towards the family and the deceased, and we're going to use this donated item to feed people that are coming here.
Vicky Kodwani Alvihag was born in India in 1986 and came to the Gambia in 2006 to join his family business. According to his parents, Vijay and Priya Aswani, Vicky will always be in their hearts, which warrants the charity in his memory. May his soul rest in heaven. Babukar Sise, QTV News.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. Now 60 women oyster harvesters on Thursday concluded a 6-week swimming program organized by FAO Fish for ACP project as part of efforts to prevent oyster women harvesters from drowning. Jenna Basonko has the rest of that story.
The Gambia is known for producing mangrove oysters collected mostly by women in the Tambi wetlands. Oyster harvesting is a day-long process that involves collecting oysters from mangrove roots, preparing them on land and transporting them to markets for sale. The oysters are harvested during low tide, but in some instances, the high tide meet these women at sea, posing a threat to those who cannot swim back to shore. Here is the country representative of FAO, Mushibidi Rampidi.
It is very clear that in order to be effective and more productive, the swimming as a skill is quite valuable because you operate in an aquatic environment, and learning how to swim and knowing what to do is really, really critical. FAO remains committed to supporting the women that are working in the oyster value chain. And I'm saying this knowing that I am sitting next to the ministry, and I take it that the ministry will always be there to support us when we are working with the women.
The Gambian Navy provided the swimming training for the women. Here is Lieutenant Commander Yusuf Hassane, Deputy Commander of the Navy.
Please try to continue the good job that you have just embarked on. So, because I understand before this training, you've never got any clue when it comes to swimming. And I understand most of your compatriots died along the way when during your noble cause, that is this oyster fishing. The Navy is there. We are always ready to help.
Fish for ACP also aims to enhance the productivity and competitiveness of the mangrove oyster value chain in the Gambia to improve food security and incomes for rural communities. Hadija Tujalo, Project Coordinator, Fish for ACP, described the training as an opportunity for the women to be more independent.
Impressive. We are really impressed with the achievement we have gotten thus far. Thank you to the Naval Command who has done such a great work with our oyster women harvesters here. We could not thank them enough. They came up with a great methodology and techniques and different program for the past 6 weeks, and it really paid off. We are really happy with the results that we are getting right now.
One of the trainees, Mary Sambu, who in 2019 won the Young Business Innovation of the Year award as an oyster farmer, has been in the sector for over 8 years. She says her inability to swim has been a barrier in her business.
Some of us can swim, but not much. Like the type of training, the swimming they show us. Now we can swim different ways of swimming. So now we are not going to be afraid of anywhere we go. Before that, I was just managing. Example, when my boat escaped, unless I call somebody to bring it for me, but I cannot swim up to where the boat is. But now, anywhere my boat is, I can swim up to there and bring my boat.
After 6 weeks of training, these women are now confident to harvest oysters without the fear of drowning. And aside from that, they are also going to benefit from the numerous benefits that swimming has to offer as a sport. Obviously, they need to stay healthy to be able to harvest oysters successfully. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Basonko.
From local news, let's now take a look at international news in a moment. Now, a 13-year-old South African student who allegedly shot his school head teacher has been charged with attempted murder. The head teacher is reportedly in critical condition in an intensive care unit. The shooting has left South Africans shocked amidst growing concern over violent crimes in schools and across the country. Mumudulamin Choi has the latest.
The shooting happened at a local school in Germiston, east of the main city of Johannesburg. The alleged shooter reportedly conspired and targeted 3 teachers, his class teacher, the principal, and his deputy. The teenage suspect in the shooting allegedly used a firearm that belongs to his father and targeted these 3 because they were giving him trouble in school. Following the incident, the Education Minister of Gauteng Province, Matomi Chilowani, visited and met the school authorities and gave a reassurance of safety for all. According to the minister, friends of the teenage shooter had said in an interview that the shooting has been planned for a while, and they had a WhatsApp group where they were communicating and planning this shocking crime. Following a request from the National Prosecuting Authority, a magistrate is expected to decide whether the alleged 13-year-old student could be charged as an adult. In line with South Africa's child justice system, a 12 or 13-year-old is presumed not to have quote-unquote criminal capacity unless the state can prove otherwise. The local education minister suggests that whatever the outcome of the legal process, the alleged child perpetrator would have to undergo stringent rehabilitation before being reintegrated into the education system. The school shooting incident reflects a wider spate of violent crime in South Africa, which has reached a 20-year high according to official sources. While South Africa may be Africa's most developed country, it also has one of the highest crime rates in the world. Experts also say that on average, nearly 1 person an hour is shot dead in South Africa, with 27,000 people killed every year. Only 12% of that staggering number of crimes are solved. In this volatile atmosphere of violent crimes, everyone is believed to be in danger. In November last year, a South African government minister and her bodyguards were robbed of their money and cell phones at gunpoint. The bodyguards were forced to lie on the ground while the armed robbers ransacked the vehicle and stole their police-issued guns. The history of apartheid in South Africa is reported to be a genesis of the culture of violent crimes in the country. This is believed to have left a poor legacy of high record of police violence, gangster violence, and the violence of protest. A South African analyst suggests that, quote, what is being exposed now, however, is just how far the social contract that has held the nation together since the end of apartheid has collapsed, end of quote. Mahmoud Lamin Chai, QTV News.
I'm afraid that's all we have for you on this news bulletin. Join us again at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.